Alright guys, there are millions and millions, hundreds, even billions of terrible jobs out there. You've got kids in Africa working in diamond mines. You've got people in Asia working in these sweatshops making sneakers. You've got people in the corporate world who are one missed deadline away from getting fired or getting a heart attack. But I propose that the worst job in the world right now is Alec Baldwin's lawyer. And that's because Alec Baldwin doesn't know when to shut up. Alec Baldwin, this narcissist, this attention seeker, just doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. He killed a woman a few months ago. Now, maybe it was an accident, but when you're involved in such a serious incident, I mean, we're talking about the death of a woman who you actually killed. You pulled the trigger and shot this woman to death. What you should do is lawyer up and shut up. Now, Alec Baldwin has done one of those things. He's lawyered up, but he hasn't shut up. Now, later I'm going to be looking at his lawyer, talking about him. We're going to be looking at what Alec Baldwin has done since this tragedy, this killing of Helena Hutchins, what he's been saying, and this guy just doesn't know when to shut up. So here in the New York Post, they talked to some lawyers and they speculate why Alec Baldwin hasn't handed over his phone. So Alec Baldwin has yet to hand over his phone. They say he might be concerned about the possibility of incriminating evidence on the phone, including deleted texts or photos that could hold him in criminal contempt, or may simply want to keep his private conversations out of the public eye. Nobody wants to have their phone handed over to authorities that can snoop through them and so on. So in that regard, I would sympathize with Baldwin a little bit, but there's the whole possibility that there may be texts and phone logs of him incriminating himself into the shooting of Helena. Here he is pretending to cry. Now, if he is actually crying here, he's crying for himself. He's not crying for Helena Hutchins. I can guarantee you that. This narcissist Baldwin, this attention-seeking, self-absorbed, Holly-weird. Investigators previously asked Baldwin for his cell phone because they believe it contains key conversations related to the prop gun death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins in October. Baldwin responded by telling them they would have to get a warrant, and they did so last month, though the phone has yet to be handed over to New Mexico cops. Kieran said, so Kieran is like this legal expert, said that the move flies in the face of the actor's previous vow to fully cooperate with the police. It's not consistent with his pledge early on to cooperate with law enforcement, he said. It certainly looks suspicious to the average person. Now, this word pledge is important because there's no suggestion that he's breaking any laws, because he's talking about you need a warrant and all this stuff. Now I'm going to play you a video from his Instagram where he talks about it being a process, so have a listen to this.
This is a process where one state makes the request of another state. Someone from another state can't come to you and say, give me your phone, give me this, give me that. They can't do that. They've got to go through the state you live in. That is a process that takes time. They have to specify what exactly they want. You can't just go through your phone and take, your photos or your love letters to your wife or what have you. I really don't know. But
so Baldwin is making it clear that they will not just volunteer this information like he pledged he would. He's just going to make it as difficult as possible through his legal team to hand over the evidence. And this flies in the face, as the other lawyer said, of his pledge to cooperate with the police fully to find out what's happening. Now, the fact that he put this video up on Instagram just shows you how dumb he is. He is shooting his mouth off nonstop. And this was a weird video because at the start he was talking about this Splenda packet that he received from a fan. Baldwin said that receiving a Splenda packet from a fan was a miracle. You are 100% true, the fan wrote on the Splenda packet to Baldwin. Thanks for the laughs, good sir. Cheers to a new year. Love you. And then he goes on to say, putting in pockets now so that I never lose it again. So he lost his Splenda packet. He found it again. You got these words from the fan written on the packet. So he's using this Splenda packet as a crutch to try and get him through the next year or two as this process is going to play out. But what is this guy doing making these videos to begin with? So this is the latest of a number of public statements he's been making, because shortly after the incident, or the shooting, the death, whatever you want to call it. He gave a bizarre roadside interview with paparazzi, and here is his wife, and she was getting really upset with the paparazzi asking him questions, and he told reporters on the side of the road in Vermont that he is not allowed to comment on the incident, but claimed that Hutchins was his friend and that he is supposedly talking to the police every day. So he totally contradicted himself by saying he's not allowed to comment on the incident, but there he is at the side of the road talking about the incident. And also he did an interview with ABC, and again he was just shooting his mouth off and talking a lot of crap, and he was contradicting himself, and there he is pretending to cry. As I said already, if he is actually crying, those are tears for himself and not for Helena. And in this interview, the New York Post alleges that he kind of puts the blame on Helena. So he says, everything is at her direction, Baldwin told a sycophantic George Stephanopoulos during a jaw-dropping hour-long interview. I'm holding the gun where she told me to hold it, Baldwin said, which ended up being right below her armpit, which is what I was told. I don't know. This you should never do. This is like basic protocol where you like never point the gun at somebody, because even if you think it's not loaded, Baldwin is saying that it was Helena who ordered him to do that. Now, even if she did, Baldwin shouldn't have done that. As the person holding the gun, you are responsible for that gun. So that's another issue Baldwin has to answer to. As anybody who has watched like US TV shows about law enforcement and so on, you've probably heard this line a million times. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you. So he did the right thing in getting an attorney, but he didn't exercise his right to remain silent. And this could come back to bite him in the ass, because as the Miranda rights state, anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. And you could just say this, anything to just trip yourself up. And it says down here, it is important to note that Miranda rights do not go into effect until after an arrest is made. Baldwin was never arrested. He presented himself to the police voluntarily, so the officer is free to ask questions before an arrest, but must inform the suspect that the questioning is voluntary and that he or she is free to leave at any time. The answer to these questions are admissible in court. So again, anything you say can and will be used against you. The only thing you should be doing is lawyering up and shutting up. He's done one of those two things, but he hasn't done the shutting up part, and he could end up incriminating himself. The prosecution is going to be using this interview here on ABC. They're going to be using what he said here, this Instagram video he put up. They're going to be using all of that against him. And he is contradicting himself. He is telling straight up lies. And this could come back to haunt him. So in a second I'm going to move on to his legal team, but I just want to play the last like 10 or 12 seconds of this Instagram video he put up, because it's really off-putting, bizarre, and kind of creepy. So let's have a look.
There it is.
So there he was showing this Splenda package again. Now look at this smirk on his face. Like is this the face of a guy who's, you know, remorseful or humble and just sad at the death of Helena, who was killed because he pulled the trigger on her and shot a bullet through her body? Like, look at that. This is a guy who is just unlikable, to say the least. This guy is absolutely rancid as far as I'm concerned. Look at that smirk. Unbelievable. This guy should be keeping his head down, keeping a low profile, not saying a word, not putting up these dumb Instagram videos, staying off Twitter, and just keeping his goddamn mouth shut and showing a bit of remorse and some introspection. But here he is with that smirk. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And look at this, showing off his super expensive watch right there. This guy is a real piece of work. He's a nasty guy. So let's move on to his legal team. Now, who has the hardest job in the world right now, according to me? Well, let's have a look. Baldwin has hired a former assistant U.S. attorney in Los Angeles to represent him, Aaron Dyer, of the Manhattan headquartered law firm Pillsbury Winthrop Shaw Pittman. Just about every surname in this law firm's name here. Let's have a look at his information here. Here he is. There's the face of the man with the hardest job in the world right now, Aaron Dyer. And if we look at his full bio here, this PDF document, corporate investigations and white collar defense. So he's mostly a corporate defense lawyer. Now, he did previously work for almost 7 years as a federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office in LA. So he was a prosecutor, but now he's mostly a defense lawyer, mostly defending companies, but he's also defended individuals. Like, he's represented various companies in auto renewal law. He defended a professional athlete in a criminal and civil proceedings. He's defended a former executive of Enron. More companies here: aerospace, chemical manufacturer, semiconductor manufacturer. So this guy seems to have a good resume. He seems to be one of the better lawyers, and I'm sure Alec Baldwin is paying this guy a lot of money to defend him. Now, here's a question I have. Is this guy telling Baldwin to keep his goddamn mouth shut? Or is he saying, oh, do and say whatever the hell you want? Now, if this guy is as good as, we're led to believe, then he should be telling Baldwin to keep his trap shut. Now, here's the problem. He's dealing with a guy who is clearly, he's got like personality issues. He's got this smirk just a few months after killing Helena Hutchins. So Aaron has a huge job in his hands to try and quell this absolute bombastic narcissist, this Hollywood attention seeker. So I have quite a lot of sympathy for this guy right now, even though he's probably going to make a ton of money. And he's a liar after all, and liars are, the scum of the earth, the vast majority of them. But to try and tell this guy to shut up is probably the hardest job in the world right now. So there you go, guys. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with this case. Eventually the phone will be handed over, but Alec has all this time to delete everything on his phone, and who knows, maybe the phone will magically disappear before he actually has to hand it over. So guys, let me know what you think about Alec Baldwin and this whole case. Remember to subscribe and hit the like button and share this video as far and wide as you can. See you guys later.